Oop asked if he is the off for having boundaries with his stepson. I am not Oop. Oop is you, nervous accomplice 74, and he posted on r, am I the asshole? Mood spoiler. Happy ending. Less than. Original post November 24, 2021. Forgive me for any mistakes. I'm a longtime lurker who made an account specifically to ask about this issue. I, 47 meters. Have a stepson, 16 meters. Who for the purposes of this post. We'll call T. I've been married to my wife, 48F, for 2 years and have 2 daughters, 7F and 9F. With my ex. Since the day T moved into my house he has been nothing but disrespectful. I understand that change, especially change this drastic, moving, getting new siblings, a new parent, is hard for a kid, but some of the stuff he does just crosses a line. For example, I transferred him to a really great private high school when he moved in because I wanted him to have the best opportunities. He always complains that he doesn't like his new classmates, that the school is too far away. It's 15 minutes further than his old school, which is practically nothing, and that he doesn't like the environment. He doesn't understand that later he will thank me for this. I would have killed for an opportunity like this at his age. Additionally, he always breaks rules we have set in place. I have asked him to surrender his phone to the living room at 9 p.m. to have some family time, but he says he wants to talk to his old friends. He constantly claims not to like the food his mother or I make even when he hasn't tried it. His mother and I try to have a date night once or twice a week and he always claims he is too busy to watch his stepsisters. We have asked him repeatedly for the passwords to his social media accounts and he refuses to hand them over, etc. I'm sick of the disrespect in my own house. So I set some boundaries. Either he starts treating me with respect and listening to me, or he can find somewhere else to live. Obviously I wouldn't really kick him out, but I'm hoping this scares some sense into him. My wife, however, said I took it too far and need to apologize and tell him I wasn't serious. I feel like this will undermine my authority though. AITA? Edit. I just want to clarify a few things because they seem to be causing confusion in the comments. He did not change schools when he was 16. We had him change when he was 14, when he moved into my house. So about halfway through his first year of high school. Also, he did know about the change. We talked to him about it beforehand. He wasn't excited, but he did know that he would be changing schools. First update. On the same post. Thank you for everyone who has taken the time to comment. And thank you further to the people who have offered helpful advice. I didn't come here to be vindicated. I came to find out if I was doing everything I could for my stepson, and clearly I am not. I am going to try to fix what I have done wrong. I'll offer him the option to switch back schools, although I understand that it might be too late, and I will drastically ease up on the restrictions that we have been set in place. Furthermore, I am going to sit down and apologize. I want him to know he is cared for and that I was wrong. Second update, February 28, 2023. A little bit more than a year ago, I asked for advice on how to deal with my stepson. I was ripped to shreds in the comments. And deservedly so. For those who haven't read the post, I didn't feel like my stepson was respecting my authority after I imposed overly strict rules upon him. I've had a few people ask for an update. But first, I wanted to clear up one thing. Many people assumed that I took an underprivileged kid and put him in a school full of rich kids. That couldn't be further from the truth. Before we married, he and his mother were very well off. We both have really well-paying jobs. The only reason he was in a public school was because the schools in our area are really great. The only reason he was switched to the private school is because it is a STEM school, and I thought that would be beneficial to him. Now on to the update. After reading the comments telling me how horrible of a stepfather I was, I felt sick. This may seem unbelievable, but I was genuinely trying to do right by him and I was beside myself, realizing that I did more harm than good. My stepson never knew his father, and I jumped at the chance to have that special father-son bond with him. I eased up on many of the restrictions I placed. He no longer has to surrender his phone, and while we still do have family time, it's about once a week instead of every night. He no longer has a bedtime, and while his mom follows him on his socials, I do not. I no longer demand this passwords to anything. The only time I have asked him to babysit is in the case of an emergency, but surprisingly, now that I've stopped, he's been offering to babysit every once in a while. As for the school issue, he is still at the school we switched him to. We had many long talks about this very issue, and he ultimately decided to finish out his high school career at the school because, while he missed his friends, he was able to recognize that this new school offered him the best opportunity to get into the college he really wants to attend. Since all of this, the relationship between my stepson and myself has drastically improved. For his 17th birthday, we offered to get him a car, and he and I had a really nice time picking out the right one. I've taken him to a few basketball games which he loves, and I've enjoyed learning about the sport from him. He actually got a girlfriend and came to me for advice about dating, which is not something that would have happened before. I will say this: I am blessed with an incredibly smart, kind and compassionate stepson. Other kids may not have been so forgiving, and rightfully so. I urge other stepparents out there to really listen to their stepchildren instead of automatically trying to take over. You may not be as lucky as I was. So nice to see a parent get told, "Hey, you're doing wrong by your kid," and actually listen to it. I was immediately horrified that Op clearly was confusing normal and typical teenage behavior, attitude as some sort of perceived slight against him. Between that and threatening to kick him out, even if he didn't plan to follow through, I was genuinely shocked to see Op actually acknowledged his mistakes and realized that he was clearly the asshole in the situation. I think this may be a Reddit first for me. To be honest, such a refreshing change of the usual step monsters that post on AITA. Looks like Oop went into the relationship with the mentality that he was like his 9 and 7-year-old kids. He didn't realize T is a 14-16-year-old teenager and would need a completely different method of raising. Good on him for changing. Shocked that he could write out that first post and not realize he was being a dick. Asking for the passwords to all his socials. Seriously? I remember the original. I'm so glad to hear Oop got his head out of his ass. To find yourself in a new house with a new, overbearing stepfather who insisted you switch schools. That's a lot of change for a teenager. I'm really impressed that Oop was able to swallow his pride and drop his need for control to build something good with his stepson. We don't get to see endings like that very often. Threatening to kick him out wasn't setting boundaries. It was setting an ultimatum. And that too with a threat that he doesn't plan to follow through on. People need to quit doing that. It's how you manipulate people into your will. It's not how you build a healthy relationship with someone. Finally, a happy ending, or beginning, between a step-parent and their stepchild. Good on Oop for actually listening to the advice. It's just baffling sometimes how stepparents think. The stepson has never known his dad, but somehow coming in guns blazing with full authoritarian mode sounded good to Oop. There's fully a balance to have with kids, but outlandish things like full invasions of privacy would never be good. Ever. At least he listened, but it's hard to understand how someone could think that being in Authoritarian asshole with no respect for boundaries ever would have been appreciated by anyone, much less a teenager. I was so sure this was gonna end badly. But it's nice to see a parent correct their course and actually listen to what their child needs. I knew from the first post that Oop had his heart in the right place and wasn't doing it out of sense of power or anything like that. He didn't know how to handle those new stepson and reached back to his own upbringing to use as a template. The update was so beautiful. I'm closing down the app for the night. Don't want to ruin this wholesome high. Why should he watch his stepsisters if he never used to? Because it's convenient for Oop? What if he knows he doesn't like the food's ingredients already no matter how it's cooked? And why should he give up his passwords when just having the parent know the accounts exist and what's being posted should be good enough? Oop doesn't sound like he saw where he's not meeting his new stepson halfway with anything until the comments destroyed him. It really warms my heart when people are capable of change for the better. I'm sure a lot of us would have formed better relationships with our parents had they apologized to us once in a while and met us where we were at. Well, if it isn't the consequence of OOP's own actions. Shockingly, this time, it's in a good way. Finally, someone who actually wants to improve their relationship with their stepkid instead of being valid for being right and destroying the little relationship they did have. Wow, I should get off Reddit before I read something that will give me nightmares. I can understand putting a phone away once a week for family time, but surrendering passwords for social media? Might as well take the door off the bedroom then. While teenagers can get into trouble or danger using social media, the idea is to instill trust in them to do the right thing and use the internet safely by explaining internet safety. Wow. Good on Op for realizing he was a dick and is now doing right by his stepson. I remember the original post. I sometimes think AITA can be a little too harsh and critical, which can make people a little defensive. But I'm so glad that Oop took the time to reconsider things. I hope Oop and his stepson continue to develop a solid relationship. I had a step-parent come in at 11. Guns a-blazing with a completely different parenting style than my parents ever had, and they refused to ever see that they were wrong about anything. It irreparably harmed our relationship, and it's been over a decade since I moved out and I still refuse to have a relationship with them. I'm glad Oop was able to see that they were wrong.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epic Ericast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.